Women and Leadership in Education City.
Bell Hooks describes education as the practice of freedom, a space where women learn to speak, question, and lead. Education City is where we see that freedom practiced daily.
My name is Maryam Al Ahmed, and I'm an associate professor here in VCU Qatar, teaching in the graphic design department. I'm also an artist/designer. VCU Qatar is a great place, a great environment for those who wants to pursue art and design. So aside from being an associate professor here in VCU Qatar, I'm a freelance artist/designer. So I tend to be my own boss when it comes to my own work. So recently I have worked with a commission for Qatar Pavilion in Osaka, Expo Osaka, and I had to deal with that in a leadership way, from the design process to the production to the delivery, as well as to the assembly there in Osaka, Japan. So although it seems like a big project, there was a lot of leadership moments for me personally that made me feel like I'm my very own boss in some ways. I think women's role in education is very important. I see it here in VCU Qatar.
Mariama Ba shows that women's empowerment begins with expression. In these classrooms, we watch the transformation unfold in real time.
So in graphic design, I'm going to talk about the projects that we lead here in graphic design. We tend to talk a lot about all kinds of different projects, either social projects, social-based projects, critical projects, thinking about the future projects. So I find it very interesting for our female students to take that as an opportunity to express their very own topics of concern or topics that they feel like it's hard for them to express maybe in the public eye. So they tend to take the design as a tool to kind of express those very important issues. At the beginning, I found it very hard to be a local female faculty, especially in terms of the students accepting it, because I work in an American university and the students are used to having Western faculty. So for them, it's very strange to have a female local faculty at that time, like 10, 11 years ago. Now it's getting easier and I feel like I'm more respected in that way. And I feel like as a female employee or faculty teaching in a high education environment, I feel like females tend to put a lot more pressure on themselves to like 100 more times more than, let's say, male faculty, because we have to prove to ourselves, prove to our community that we can do this, do it all. I find the environment here is very supportive, especially for females. Obviously, we have Sheikha Ham leading Qatar Foundation. We have Sheikha Moza. Being the ability to work within her vision in Qatar Foundation. Obviously, we're being super supportive to females. And I think the biggest evidence is having our student faculty be like 95% females. So in that way, there's a lot of support for female to pursue their education, especially in art and design. I think women in Qatar should not be afraid to be judged, because we sometimes maybe they're afraid from they have specific ideas that they want to pursue, or they have a specific major they want to go into, but they're worried about what we talked about earlier, their friends, their influence from their friends, or their influence from their families. And I feel like they should follow what they really want, their passion, regardless what everybody thinks.
Hilal shows that women's leadership is often unseen. Professor Maryam shows what it looks like in practice.
To start off, I think my journey has always been one of movement. It's been one where I've always been excited to try new things, see new places, and because of that, I took up a lot of opportunities that I was extremely privileged to have in QA. For example, I would say it started in grade 4 when we had a student council election, and I decided to sign up, and I was really excited, and I made posters and I told all my friends to vote for me. Sadly, I didn't win, but I think just trying these things out is what it gives you some exposure. I think from that, I was still that excited girl who kept taking up these opportunities. So I went into middle school and high school, and I joined a lot of clubs. And I think in QA it was a bit more locally rooted, where a lot of things I would participate in were nationwide. But I think going into Georgetown is when it started to turn global. So from that I started getting exposed with Education Above All and QF to international events and organizations, specifically the United Nations. So I joined the Youth Assembly, and then I was privileged to represent Qatar in the Transforming Education Summit as well, and the Youth EcoSoc. And I think all of these experiences came together to accumulated for me to become the UN Youth Delegate for Qatar. So I think the journey is just one of consistent movement. I think consistency is what helps.
According to Vora, Education City is global in structure but local in power, creating space for women to develop skills and reach international platforms.
Personally, I think for me it was always a case of fearing the fact that I wasn't just representing myself. I was standing there as someone who represented a group of people, and you're always kind of in this in-between of, am I truly representing everyone? Am I including everyone's voices and opinions in what I'm saying? But I think in these moments you realize that it's just important enough to get your voice out there and to represent, because if you don't represent, then someone else will. And it's very important for us to represent ourselves and our identities as they are.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Noor Al-Thani and I'm a representative of the Qatari delegation as well as Education Above All at the Youth Assembly. A main challenge we continue to witness in current society is women's lack of access to education, as well as especially within refugees, and the lack of support from their own communities. And I'm now empowered to continue pursuing gender equality on a global scale.
I think here well-being and identity is incredibly important. I just attended a talk with Sadat Diktora Hassab bint Hamad bin Khalifa in Georgetown, and we talked about identity and well-being and the importance of that. And I think Education City has been such a pivotal center of caring for that. And as much as education is important and the academics are important, I think extracurriculars and feeling comfortable to represent your identity and honing that is also very important. So I think the mix between academia and your identity and your roots is what is so special about Education City.
Marnisio argues that women shape Qatar's educational future. We see that through Noor and through the growing opportunities available to female students in Education City.
I think young women in Qatar have a mix of confidence and care. I think we all care for everyone around us, and sometimes that's why we feel so overwhelmed, because there's so much to do and care for. But I think taking it one step at a time and being confident that what you're doing is right, because you know these people, because you have that context that no one else could have if they were coming in from outside. And I think that young women in Qatar are so resilient with it. You keep going, and we keep seeing initiatives that stem from these young women. So I think that blend is what's so special about us.
Ali argues that education in Qatar plays a key role in expanding women's leadership opportunities. Noor Al-Thani's journey shows this.
I think one message would just be to keep going, because it's hard, I think, to see so many initiatives and so much going on at once. But what's really important is that you know that what you're doing is important, and that what you're doing, inshallah, is going to lead to something greater, and that small steps are still steps.
Sheikha Hind's leadership at Qatar Foundation reflects how women are shaping the future of education and innovation in Qatar.
So we end with one question. What happens when women are not just educated but become the shapers of knowledge, culture, and power?